Growing up watching video game YouTubers, you would always see them say the same thing about how Banjo-Kazooie is a classic, how it is one of the best games on the system, and is a huge system seller. Do you want to know what else sold as much? This guy. I only just realized he has one tooth. Why does he have one tooth? That makes me mad. Everyone was talking about Banjo. I can't blame them, this game's amazing. But why not Croc? It sold as much as Banjo, so why aren't they talking about Croc? It's because this game sucks. Or at least, that's what I've heard people say. I've heard them constantly go on about how they hate the game, how it's weird, it's clunky, it's outdated, it's unplayable, the designs are bad, it's ugly. On this episode of Worst Platformer Ever Made, we're going to be taking a look at Croc Legend of the Gobbos. Gobbos? Released in 1997. Yeah, I'm not doing that history spiel that every other game-informing YouTube channel does. But what is important going into this is that the game was released on September 29th, 1997. And this is important because Crash Bandicoot was released September 9th, 1996. Mario 64 was released June 23rd, 1996. So it had a lot to live up to, obviously. Unfortunately, I can't find when development of Croc started, but if I had to guess, it probably started before these great games released, meaning they had to come up with what 3D platformers were to be on their own. They had no baseline to go off of. I mean they had this, but don't copy this. But did they do a good job with it? Well, jumping into the game, you can already tell your life is going to be miserable. Immediately, we see the first thing that will turn most people away. Tank controls. You have tank controls in a platformer. I actually tried out this game years ago. I didn't even beat the first level. I gave up halfway because I hated the controls. But then, I tried again. And the same issue happened. I just gave up. However, this time, a third time, I decided I will learn the controls. I will do it, and I will learn through it. And it took a bit to get used to, but once you do get used to it, this is actually a great game. This is a solid experience. I'm actually sad that I didn't like this the first time. I was disappointed in myself. I had failed. I had fun from start to finish, minus a few hiccups. So why is this video titled The Worst Platformer Ever Made? This content creator is terrible. I think we'll start off by talking about what I liked about the game. The tank controls. Didn't I just say I hate them? I kind of do. If they add non-tank controls to the remake, why is there a remake? How does this happen? Then I would be fine with it. It would make the game easier, but let me explain why. This game was made for its control scheme. It was made for tank controls. A lot of the jumps are just straight lines, and I can appreciate that. Most of the levels are crafted to work with Croc, not against him. Some of them are miserable. I didn't really have many issues running or jumping around at all, and it was pretty easy to control him once you get the hang of it. The game has a lot of collectibles, 5 gems and 6 Gobbos. You need to get all the gems in the level to get the 6th Gobbo, and getting everything in each level unlocks more levels, which is awesome. The game has a lot of secrets around the levels as well. You can find these sparkly things on the ground that warp you to a secret level. Wait a minute, and these secret levels are just full of extra lives for you, so you get rewarded for exploring, and the reward is pretty good. Because this game is difficult, you're going to need some of these lives, I tell you. And all this is happening while the world around you visually looks amazing. The art style is fantastic for an early PS1 game. This is really, really good and really pleasing to look at. There's also a new gimmick every single level that is thrown at you, which is awesome. I really, really like these fast running dudes. I don't know why, I just find them funny. From what I saw online, considering how much trash talk this game gets, I had thought this was going to be a bad game, contender for one of the worst platformers ever made. That's why I made this series. These people are stupid. Never listen to what people say to you on the internet. There could be a gnome on the other side of the computer, and we don't trust their kind on this channel. However, while this is still a great game, this does not even compare in the slightest to the might of the PS1 library of platformers and the competitor's library of platformers. Croc is nothing compared to them. Croc is weak, pathetic, stupid. That was a little mean, I'm sorry. This was a great game. I think I should move on to being negative since I'm already being negative. When starting the game, I feel like there are three main things that will turn people away immediately. Obviously, the tank controls is one of them. Like, it took me 3 times to play this game with these controls. Why the hell would you make a platformer like this? But as I said a bit ago, the levels were made for this in mind, and I got used to them after a while. But something you cannot ever get used to is the camera. A lot of the time it's fine, but the times where it's bad, it's really, really bad. Now for fun, let's put tank controls and a bad camera together, and let's put them on a rotating platform, and you probably have the most miserable experience ever. Every time I land on one of these, I pray the jump off is easy. It's impossible to not only control Croc on these, but the camera as well. It's extremely hard to see where you have to jump, and then when you jump off, you might not even be aligned correctly. It's very annoying. And then, of course, there's the brutality of this game. This game can be hard as hell sometimes, and it's not really forgiving, kinda. Sometimes it is. When you get a game over, you don't need to restart the whole world like those classic games, just the level. But even I think this is too much. Punishment in these games is fine. This is a standard for many platformers that they do, but in those platformers, the levels are pretty short. In Crocs, sometimes the level can take a while to do, and then some levels have a lot of mechanics where you have to wait before proceeding. Mixing those together and having to redo it constantly because the game is really hard, it's not really fun to do. So allow me to recap on what I think are the 3 main things that turn people off from this game. When they start playing, they have to learn tank controls. Most people will immediately quit here. Finally, when you learn how to do it, you have to fight with the camera. And this is a thing that might make a lot of people quit as well. And then once you get both of those down, you still might end up quitting because of how annoying it is getting game over in some of these levels. Because some of the levels just aren't fun. Like, look at this. This is obnoxious. And while those are the 3 main things, there's a lot of small things as well which add up. In the game, you have to get colored gems. And some of them look like normal gems, and you only find out once you pick it up. Why? This forces you to collect every single gem you see, which is kind of annoying to do. I don't think the game would have changed in the slightest if you just showed where the real gems are. Like, why'd you do that? I don't really have an opinion on the bosses. They're all very, 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 very easy to do. But what I'm scared of isn't the boss. It's the hitboxes on the boss. I could be standing not anywhere near him, and I'd be scared because sometimes the boss hitbox would just hit me and instantly kill me when I obviously wasn't touching him. They were rubbing up against me in a very seductive manner that I was not appreciative of, and I did not like. This one's just on me, but the enemies respawn way too fast. Okay, I'm nitpicking. I'm gonna end the video soon. Is Croc the worst platformer ever made? No, not at all. This isn't even close to it. This is a great game, a really good, great time, full with joy and charm. It has a lot of issues, but it's still a great game. It doesn't compete with these beasts in the slightest, but I enjoyed my time. Now as for you, dear viewer, sit the hell down, learn the game. You are a grown-ass man, and you will learn the tank control.